Hi, Molly. Good evening. Hi, Sam. Can you please transfer John, Palmini, and Lindsay from attendee list to the panelist list?
Do you have a phone number? Okay. Yeah, this is different.
Molly, I've unmuted you, so you should be able to speak.
Yeah, there is someone calling in. I think that's Mia McCarthy. Caller 2. Can you unmute him? And let's find out if it's him.
Sam, can you hear me now?
I hear you.
Yes, we can hear you now.
I'm gonna actually call in on my phone because I want to use my headphones, and I'm gonna. So you can go ahead and mute me, and I'm gonna call in that way.
Call-in user 2, can you identify yourself?
It looks like call-in user 2's muted, so.
I just muted them because they didn't answer. Chances are that's not the mayor. You can answer. Lindsay, are you calling user 2?
I did call in. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I called in, but I'm on there. I don't see myself as calling, but I have no microphone on my work computer, so I have to do both.
Okay.
Hey, Sam, can you guys hear me okay? I tried to log in, or I'm trying to just use this, but with my headphones on.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. I wasn't sure about how the sound was going to echo with my computer. I was just going to call in, but I'm having trouble doing that. So I'll just use this if that's okay.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Now I'm gonna make you the host now.
Thank you. Lindsay, you would be receipts, correct? Very good. We have a outside presenter, then we'll put Molly and you up front so you can have dinner. Miss Caruso, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I was afraid that it wasn't working, but it is. Thank you.
Will you need to share a screen or anything?
No.
Okay.
Hello, Janine. This is Anthony Ferrari. How are you?
Could you hear me? I said I'm good. How are you doing?
Very good. I just want to make sure you can hear me also.
Yes.
There we go.
Now, can you see me?
I can't see anyone because my WebEx stuff is all screwed up, but maybe somebody else can. It's been this way for 5 months.
No, I can't see her. I can't see you.
You can't.
John, she's on the other list, John. She's on the
Right. I just made her a panelist, so hopefully she can.
There you go.
And I'm gonna do the same. Oh, Lindsay's on the phone, so.
Jeannie just got you in your video camera on. We'll have you.
Okay. Every one of these is so different depending on which one you're using.
That's easy.
All right, there we go. How's that?
Good. There you go.
Just have this very bright light.
Who's ZS?
DS would be Zep.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I was just trying to figure out where Gary is.
Did everyone find it easier to sign in tonight?
No.
Oh, fine. John, I wonder if he's caller user 2 there on the attendee list.
No, that's Lindsay.
No, Lindsay's on your side now.
Oh, then maybe it is Gary.
Yeah.
No, it's Lindsay's phone line. She signed in from her computer and also has called in from the phone.
Well, what the heck, man? She's tricking us here. Huh. All right.
Sam, I never had any problem signing on with the links that you sent. So it wasn't any more difficult or easier today. It's always been the same for these meetings.
I sent a separate email, like I signed in also.
Yeah, I use the original one.
I've had a lot of people say that they either didn't receive it or they couldn't sign in from it.
What you have to do is use the temporary run application. If you can't download and open from the original email or the original link, there is a bar that'll say run a temporary application. If you click on that link, you will get right through without a problem.
My issues have been, I think we have two different passwords, because I tried the first one that was in one of your emails and then went back and did a different email and found a different password. But also, when I first try, it basically says that there's nobody with my email address on the list of panelists. But I got it finally, so I'm here.
Okay. A lot of people saying when they register, they're not on the list, but you're on the list. That's how you email.
That's how you get the email. Yeah, and mine shows up with the password already in there. One of them didn't, but mine did, where the password was already in. I mean, I couldn't see it, but I could tell the password was in there. Because when I put my name, my email in, boom, there I was.
Wow.
Jim, talking to a lot of people in the past with the WebEx, when you sent the message, you were able to accept it and go into your calendar, and you were able to get on right through your calendar. Whereas
Right,
this,
but with the WebEx Meet, the events program now that we have the updated one, it's a little bit more difficult.
correct, and I think that's what the problem is. Everybody's is trying to look into their calendar.
That's
and,
right.
And they were also looking from messages from you, not from Messenger WebEx. So that things change, and people they're just doing this thing like that, and they didn't realize that was happening.
You can still do it, Anthony. Within the email, there's a link that you have to open up.
No, John, I figured it out. I'm talking about other people that come to me or talk to me about it.
Okay.
This is where I seen the problem was. Also, when we first had the event on, I think a lot of people's emails were incorrect, or I I was able to edit it and correct it, and I never had a problem since. But I'm just wondering, to edit it, I kind of was like a fluke. I must have just hit the right button to let it happen.
Okay, so Gary is supposedly on. It says waiting for standby. So maybe call in user 3 is Gary. Gary, is this you? Mayor? I hear typing. Hello?
And you might want to move Derek Duguma to panelist as well.
Is can caller 3 identify themselves, please? Or 4, if one of you is the mayor.
Oh, yes, I'm on.
Which one are you, 4?
I can't tell from this end.
Yeah, neither can I. It says call in user 4. Well, I'll mute everybody and we'll try. All right, Mayor, can you speak?
Hello.
All right, you're number 4. Very good. And Lindsay is number 2. I think we're finally ready to get going. All right, call to order the Finance Committee. First up tonight, we have Ms. Caruso from our fiscal advisors. She will, I thought be useful to have some information on the general fund, the TANs, and some of the information I think would be useful. So she's here tonight just to give a little brief overview and to answer any questions anybody might have. Ms. Caruso, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to be with you this evening. I'm Janine Caruso with Fiscal Advisors. We're the city's financial advisor, and I've been working with the city for quite some time, to over, I'd say approximately 20 years at this point. So tonight I wanted to just give a quick overview regarding the tax anticipation notes, because there have been some questions that have been coming up. So I'm going to give a brief overview of what a TAN is, and then I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has. So the city issued a $7 million tax anticipation note on September 30th. And this was done for cash flow purposes. TAN, a tax anticipation note, a shorthand of that is just a TAN, is a cash flow borrowing. And the cash flow borrowing is used to bridge the gap when there's a mismatch in the timing between having to pay the city's expenses and the timing of the receipt of the revenues. So it's a common practice, more common in these days than it is when municipalities are flush with cash, but it is very common for cities to issue TANs and RANs. A TAN cannot be used as a revenue item to balance a budget because the security of the TAN is the taxes that are due to the city. So because the taxes are already in the budget as a revenue source, you're not able to count the TAN as a revenue item, because if you think about it, then that would mean you were double counting the revenue, and that would result in a problematic budget. To illustrate a little further using the balance sheet approach, when the city issues the TAN, that becomes booked on the balance sheet as a liability. That TAN must be paid back in full. The $7 million must be paid back in full, plus the interest that is due on the TAN. The asset or receivable that balances that liability is the tax revenue. So once again, just to illustrate that, that means that you cannot use that $7 million in your budget. It's purely for cash flow purposes. The TAN will come due. We issued it on 9/30/2020, and it will come due on 9/30/2021. The city received a wonderful interest rate below 0.5%. It was 0.449%, and the purchaser was Jeffries. So I'm happy to take any questions, or if anybody would like me to go over anything more in depth regarding a TAN. It is pretty straightforward. That a TAN or a RAN are just for cash flow purposes. They differ from a BAN, which the city often issues, which is a bond anticipation note. Those are issued in anticipation of the city eventually doing a bond issue and permanently financing the debt. So all three of those are short-term obligations with a maturity of 1 year or less.
Are there any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Ms. Caruso, so you said that it can't show in the budget because, it's basically we'd be showing it twice. So if within our budget, we needed to, felt like we needed to put something in there for that gap that you're talking about, would we be able to transfer some of that 7 million in there to show that we'd be using it towards that? But is that something we'd be able to show in our budget revenue line?
No, because if you think about it, the 7 million is already within the property tax number. So I forget what that was. Anthony, help me out. I think it was 20 some million.
I think it's 31 million.
31 million. So if you took the 7 million or a portion thereof, that 7 million is already within that same,
Correct.
say $31 million. So it's not unfortunately an additional revenue item. It's already in there in the budget on the real property tax line.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? So basically, it's kind of like an advance on your salary.
That is a good analogy in a sense, yes.
All right. Anything further for Ms. Caruso?
I don't know if it's for Ms. Caruso, Mr. Palomeni, but are we then increasing that line? Because there's no reason we wouldn't receive those property taxes, right? The reason why we're short is due to federal funding issues. So if that money is going into the property tax line, is the property tax line $7 million higher than last year?
No.
It's anticipating that we're going to receive the tax money, $7 million throughout the year from September to September, but it's already in there. But as we already know, that we don't receive 100% of our tax. And that's why our taxable income, that's for prior year taxes, the taxes that we have, the collection that we have to make the school whole, stuff like that. So that's already represented in the budget. So this is just a flow through process so that throughout the year, we'll be able to receive the taxes and then use this money as the flow between when we actually receive all the cash monies and the taxes itself. Because as you know, we do not receive, for instance, our property taxes all in, at January 1st, we don't receive the full 30 million, and we don't receive all the garbage fees, and we don't receive the state aid until at the end of December, the end of the whole year. So this is for that gap between now and.
I guess what I'm asking is ultimately what makes this year different in the property tax category than any other year? Because that's the same thing every single year, right? That we receive it that way every single year. So,
right. Right. It's a difference of, I spent some time looking at the budget. If you look at the If you look at the revenue items, there's a very large shortfall in revenues that are coming in because of, strictly because of COVID. So, all the revenues that the city normally receives are all down. And so you're right on the property taxes. There's nothing that's going to make you receive more money on that property tax line. You're receiving less money on a lot of the other line items, which is causing this imbalance in your budget. So I understand exactly what you're asking. You're saying, where is this money going to come from? Because we're losing it in all these other categories. So I definitely understand your question. And it would be great if you knew that you were going to get money from the federal government and you could put that in on a line item. But unfortunately, at this point in time, you don't know that to be a fact. And you're not going to get any more in property taxes. So in a good year, the mismatch of when the expenditures are due and the property taxes come in is not problematic for the city because there's all these other revenue line items where the monies are flowing and coming in as budgeted and as projected. But unfortunately, that has not happened in this year. So there's definitely a mismatch.
Are there any other questions?
John, Mr. Palme?
Yeah, no, John's fine. Go ahead.
So, okay, I get that piece. I'm looking back at my notes that I took when Anthony was speaking to us on I think the first budget meeting that was talking about the fund balance. And there was some questioning about the unreserved funds of 40, I think it was 40, I wrote down $41,424.
That's the after.
I'm sorry?
That is the anticipated balance after 2020 expenditures and revenues.
I just put it on the screen.
This is what I was trying to get to this while I was talking instead of my handwritten notes. So the 7 million doesn't really factor in here, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I guess I had a question, and I think I might have put it out on one of our questions, and I think I was wrong. But if we didn't have that $7 million of the loan, which has to be paid back in a year, would our deficit be 17 million instead of 7 million, instead of 10 million? Or was that wrong thinking on my part?
That's not correct. I mean, I don't know. You're talking about your fund balance. The 7 million is a cash flow item, not a audited financial item.
Okay.
Unless, I mean, Anthony, interrupt me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right. But I just want to.
Okay.
We're estimating that at January 1st, 2021, we're going to have $41,000 of unreserved fund, and probably that much cash too. So we're anticipating, if we didn't borrow that 7 million, we would not be able to make the first week payroll. And
I see. Okay, I get it now. I get it.
That's what for the cash flow is for, to keep us along, so that after, at least by the first quarter, we think we should, if everything works out right, we should have enough money to pay back not only that 7 million, but we're back on the roll,
And this is
for our budget.
Certainly a pretty good projection, given the fact that we're already at the end of October. So you only had to really think about 2 additional months in making these projections for 2020, correct?
Right, and that's if you recall, with 2 months ago, I think the last time we met, we were talking at a $12 million deficit. Now we're up to 10, and we're hoping it keeps getting better.
Yep.
And then like I think right now, as we speak, the House and the White House and the House of Representatives, our congressmen, are talking about doing a stimulus package right now. That could be even a better thing for us, but who knows if that's going to happen. This budget was based on not getting any federal funds and trying to push it along that way.
Yep. Thank you.
Are there any additional questions? The reason I asked Ms. Caruso to speak tonight is because, it seemed a little confusing, and based on some of the comments and questions, I thought it was good to get a outside expert to clear up some of the, I think, the questions that were seemingly out there. So thank you, Ms. Caruso. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Any other questions arise, Anthony can reach me, and I'm happy to help in any way that I can. So the best of luck to you in your budget process.
Thanks, we need it.
Thank you. I wish I had a magic answer. I really do. I wish I knew something, but I don't, unfortunately. So you all take care and have a good evening.
You too. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
John, may I ask another question then, please?
Sure.
Can you, just because we have so many emails with so many attachments, after we're done tonight, could you just send me that chart of Anthony's that you just put up? That I was looking for that.
Yeah, I'll send it to everybody. I thought everybody had it. But...
Okay, thank you. Thanks. No, we do have it.
No, I'll resend it. That way it's fresh.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we have a couple people, a couple of employees on the line. So why don't we take them first? We'll start first with assessment on page 6 of your budget.
I just want to add the assessment department, its budget compared to 2020 is down 17%.
And Molly, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Sure. So I saw that can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I saw the question that came through, how the explanation of the data collector will impact the office and the duties and the loss of information we'll have. So I just kind of wrote something up so I could organize my thoughts, and then so I'll talk about this and then welcome to hear any conversation. And at the end of the day, my office is a team. We're team players. We're going to do whatever we need to do. But as I think anyone would, I need to advocate for my office, and I need to advocate for my staff. So. As I hope most of you know, the assessment office is crucial to the creation of additional value in the city. As value is added to the assessment roll, the tax levy and the subsequent tax rates can decrease. A critical piece to that addition of value is the role the data collector plays in the chain of events that occur from start to finish of the implementation of the assessment roll each year. In the assessment office, we've got 5 staff members. Though that may seem like a lot, we each hold a distinct role within the office. We have a real property appraiser who focuses on the valuation of residential properties. We have a real property analyst who focuses on all of the data input of all sales and transfers within the city. And then the bulk of the exemption administration. Our real property clerk, who kind of is our glue, who helps maintain order through filing, answering phones, FOIL requests, providing support at the front desk, as we all do, but that's kind of that frontline position. Myself, who, I kind of focus on a lot of things, commercial properties for valuation, difficult and more complicated residential properties, providing reports and data to the office, to the tax rolls, to not only the city and the school district, and then other offices within and without outside of City Hall. And then lastly, the data collector in the office, which is the one field position that we have. It's the one person who spends the bulk of time out in the field. I'm out there occasionally, my appraiser's out there occasionally, but I think the data collector, that role is specifically to go out in the field and do inspections. They analyze significant changes in property through inspections and different computer programs. They correct information in our records, and they pass that information along to myself and the appraiser so that we can either anticipate a change in valuation, analyze if there's a necessary change in valuation. I say this for reference in that the city of Schenectady has 20,200 parcels, 6,000 more than any other municipality within Schenectady County. Cities tend to have a lot greater parcels, but the next closest place with the number of parcels is the town of Colony, and they probably have a staff of 8 people. And they have, I think, 31,000 parcels. So we're not talking too much more in terms of staff members in the office. So the data collector is the person who analyzes all permits coming in. I know the codes department is going through their own difficulty right now, but they have a number of code inspectors who go out and analyze all of the permits in the city. The data collector in my office is the one person who focuses on permits. So that's the person who's funneling all of that information to the rest of the office in terms of any changes in parcels. That's building permits. That's anything related to potential additions of value to the city. And this person currently, his name is John Boulette. He's the person who takes that information and synthesizes it to a form that then gets to myself and our appraiser in order to add that value to the roll. It's, in addition to that general inspection process, he's helpful for the Board of Assessment Review, who ask for they ask for inspections through grievance. Through the tax certiorari process, we also have a potential need for inspections. The data collector goes out in the field every day. So this person is also another set of eyes on the street to help aid the code inspectors to see any properties that there might be development on a property which we're not able to capture through the normal process. And he alerts the codes office. I try to take away the person from the position because I understand what's necessary when the budgeting process comes around. But my data collector has lived in the city his entire life. He's also been working for the city for 14 years, and he comes with the position. He adds a lot of institutional knowledge, and I think there are a number of code inspectors, the building inspector, a lot of people that go to him for information because because of that depth of knowledge he has of the city. Taking that into perspective and then looking at how it might affect my office, the duties would need to be shifted to other people, obviously. The next likely people would be myself and my appraiser. We both have the experience of data collection, and on paper, the data collection position looks like it could be easily spread apart. There's some truth to that, but at the same time, it's that knowledge, it's the time taken out of the office that then all of the other things that the data collector position does would require myself and my appraiser to be out in the field. So then that takes us out of the office, leaving 2 people in the office, or at the most 3 people in the office. And I don't know if any of you've come into the office at different times. The ebb and flow of people, especially around the times where we have all of our exemption paperwork due, when we have grievance, it does take its toll. My staff needs to go to lunch. They need to be able to take vacation days. They need to be able to go to doctor's appointments. So, I say this just with the respect of the budget process, but at the same time, the understanding that it's going to take a toll on what happens within my office. It's going to take a toll on my ability to participate in things like the property management committee, which I enjoy, and I think I do have some value add to that committee. But it's going to require me to be out of the office more, to be able to go out into the field and do those things, which I'm perfectly fine doing. But it prevents me from running reports and doing some of those other analytical things that are asked of me, which I also appreciate and certainly think add to the work being done by other offices in the city. And I think it just overall, it kind of reduces the morale of my staff. I think we're kind of a bare bones staff doing the things that we do as it is. like I said, I think we're team players and we're certainly willing to work in whatever way we need because we know our office is essential to the functions of the city. But that's, I guess I will stop there. So I'll offer the opportunity for any questions and any follow-up that anyone might have.
Mr. Palmetti?
Go ahead.
First of all, Molly, thank you for being brave enough to advocate for your staff and be honest with what you really feel like your department needs. I actually did some homework on this position and not through Molly, but it is a highly specialized position and a revenue generating position for the city. If this person wasn't in the position that they were in, number one, it would certainly weigh on Ms. McElroy and the rest of the staff, but also the codes department, which is also already being decimated. This position does things like values properties after a fire, values properties after improvements. I mean, it is just, data collector seems like such an innate term, but this is a crucial position to the city and to the revenue stream. So I in no way can support this being removed from the budget. And I hope people will look into it a little bit more deeply because it is disturbing to think about removing this position from the budget.
All right, are there questions? All right, thank you, Molly. It was very good.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you to Molly as well. And this is Ms. Porterfield. I was going to bring up the point about the property management committee and what you bring to that, but you already covered that. So I know that your office does a lot, and I have been into your office and I've seen the ebb and flow, and so I know that I'm very familiar with the work that gets done down there. So thank you for that. And I must agree that you definitely, at the level of staff that you're doing now, it seems like it's challenging to even, get it all done. So I can't imagine what the thought must be that you would have to lose staff. So thank you for bringing all the information forward.
Sure. Thanks, Ms. Porterfield and Ms. Carrazzo.
All right, next we will move to receipts and Anthony give an overview, and then we'll ask Lindsay to speak on her department.
Yes, the receipts department has reduced their budget by 1%. It's basically the same as last year, except for a little less money. They don't just collect taxes. They're involved with bankruptcies. They're involved with foreclosures. They're involved with all the tax certs that are collecting not only taxes but also at the will of our customers who come in, our taxpayers who don't have bills and have to have their receipts and have to have their bills reprinted. It's a very busy office day in or day out. And if they don't deal with people in front of them, they always have of the 20,000 properties taxes that go out. They're also inputting all the bills that come through the mail and such. Lindsay, are you still out there? John? Can you guys hear me? John,
I can hear you, Anthony.
Is Lindsay, are you out there? All right. I don't think I don't know if John hooked her up or not.
She's on the list of panelists.
John. All right.
Sorry, I was muted. Lindsay's unmuted, so she should be able to speak.
She just texted me that she can't hear anything and she can't talk. This is Molly. I apologize.
No, we
Thank you, Molly.
recognize the voice. Maybe she can try to log back in, and then when she gets in, we'll...
You guys have any questions? I can answer most of these questions. If you have any questions.
Well, there was a question for her, I believe.
Was there a question for her? I don't think there was.
Oh, no, you're right. There's not.
All right. I do have one question, Mr. Ferrari. Could you repeat what you...
Whoops.
You said about reducing the budget
Excuse me?
in this particular department.
You know,
In this department, did you?
They reduced the budget by 0.5%, 1%.
Oh, I thought you said 1.5%. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I rounded it up to 1, but like it says, you know, they receive all the monies from, you know, code enforcement, fines, bills, insurance, taxes, school, you know, late school taxes, a bunch of different things. And they send out, you know, they do the MVBs, they collect MVBs, they do MVBs. They're a very busy office.
That's weird with Lindsay. I don't know what's going on.
And if could you just give me specifically where that reduction was, please?
Where the was specifically was an administration expense from 22,000 to 21, from advertising from 48 to 42. We canceled all the travel from 3,000 to 0, and you know, that gave us the 1%.
Thank you.
All right, this might be her. Lindsay, are you calling user 5?
Mr. Palamani, this is Lindsay. Can you hear me now?
Yay, we can hear you. Thank you.
I heard Molly's entire thing, and then all of a sudden my phone was just muted. I could hear nothing. So it's impeccable timing. But I realize I see on here that you didn't have any questions for me specifically. But if there is anything, I don't know what I missed, but I apologize.
Anthony just gave a brief overview, and there was a question on the reduction in your office.
Okay.
Saying, Lindsay, you know, that you just don't collect taxes. You're involved with all the bankruptcies, with all the with all the foreclosures, with all the data from, you know, code enforcement and assessment, and you work with the Metroplex and do all MVBs and stuff like that. I was just explaining what all you guys do.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Sounds like you have it. Yep. The sale of city-owned property, all that comes through me. The pilots, all special assessments, even the ones from 30 and 40 years ago. Yep.
Okay. Are there any additional questions? All right. Sorry about that, Lindsay. I'm not sure what happened, but thank you for making the effort to get back online.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I think next Tiffany White is online, so we will go to Human Resources so she can have dinner.
Human Resources is down 18.9%.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
So we do have a decrease in the budget this year. We had a retirement this year. And we've also, you know, reined in to pretty much a bare bones budget. I've reduced our other expense lines such as advertising, travel, our advertising expense. You know, we're pretty bare bones and skeleton crew as it is. You know, we're responsible for all the payroll and benefits, workers' comp, health insurance, retirement system, other human resources matters like disability, FMLA, other employee personnel issues. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Don't forget the EOP and the medicals too that you do.
Yep.
Are there any questions?
Yes, just one clarifying question. The personnel benefits clerk, there was 1.5. Is that where that person, that half-time person retired?
Yeah, that's Marianne.
Okay.
We had, if you'll note, last year 1.5 fill. That was we were able to get somebody in to train with Cheryl prior to retirement after 30 years.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, we will, I see Mr. Gardner, but I think he's under finance, so we will move to finance administration. Those three.
Finance administration, they reduced the budget by 36.8%, mostly because the salaries of the deputy commissioner and administrative assistant. You know, we for the whole year now, I've been operating without a deputy or an administrative assistant. You know, we just come in early, roll up our sleeves, tighten our boots, and we go to work. You know, I'm here first, and I'm here late with Andrew. Usually, Andrew and I, we leave together late in the evening. You know, we're trying to do the best we can. We're working on everything we can, and you know, if you got any questions, please let me know.
Well, the question that was submitted is, how's the office going to function with the proposed elimination of 2 positions?
You know, well, like I said, we haven't had these positions since February of this year, and like I said, you know, we would love to have those positions back. I'm just working harder and longer. You know.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'd like to follow up with that on that question. Mr. Ferrari, certainly appreciate all of your hard work and all of that. But in terms of eliminating those positions, my concern is, God forbid, if something should happen that you need to be out, could you just kind of give an overview how your department would be able to function if for some reason you need to be out for an extended period of time, since those positions haven't been filled and we were not looking at filling them at this moment?
Yeah, and one of the reasons, we've been trying to fill that position. We came close one time, but we couldn't make it happen. What do? I'm very lucky to have 2 of the greatest accountants and staff people in my accounts, my accounting department. And as I've been out for the longest, anytime I'm out for any expended time, I have no qualms about leaving city stuff to my accounting supervisor and my accountant to get things done. They do a wonderful job. They're fantastic people. We work together closely, so we pretty much know what each other does, and that's how it works. Believe me, we definitely would love to have a deputy commissioner and an administrative assistant to fall back on. But like I said, we've just been working harder and longer.
All right, next we will move to accounts and disbursements.
Accounts and disbursements, 1315. Okay. This is another spot where we lost another person. Actually, we lost 2 people because we lost our purchasing clerk with the retirement of our purchasing agent, and our clerk moved up to the purchasing supervisor, and our mail person that we have, it's actually in a different section. But we've lost those in our department. I again, like I says, I work very closely with our staff, especially in accounts and disbursements, and work close with especially our senior audit and AP clerk and our purchasing supervisor, who is now who moved up from purchasing clerk. They're just people who work very hard. They do a great job. They're busy all the time, and even though, like it says, we're 2 people down, you wouldn't even notice. They work so closely that if one is out or the other one's out, on themselves, they took it upon themselves to learn each other's position, to cover for each other. Not for an extended period of time, but enough to make the office run without any with minimal interruptions.
All right, are there any questions here?
And that created a 15% decrease.
All right, next we will go to development, which is related to Mr. Ferrari, since Derek is in there. Hey,
Derek, up there?
Page 53.
Derek, the total the development administration has reduced their budget by 4.4%. Just see development with Miss Diat out on maternity leave. We have one of our again, one of my great accountants, Derek Gugamuk, who's actually taken over as interim director of development. Derek, are you out there?
Yes, sir.
All right. There's any questions for Derek? He's been doing a great job. He's working hard. We should keep making sure everything keeps flowing within the development administration, especially with planning. You know, we're going along. We're trying to get everything done as we can move forward.
All right, don't hear anything. So
I just have a clarifying question for Mr. Ferrari.
Yeah.
So are you saying that Derek is doing both his job in finance as well as all of the duties of the Director of Development?
Well, as much, you know, I can't say all the duties of development, but overseeing the Department of Development. He's been doing a great job. You know, he's you know, working and running with the SHF DFC. He's working a lot with the homes program, with the homes coordinator. He's you know, has regular meetings with the planning department, with the community development department. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. We got some top guys here, some top individuals here that are doing a great job.
All right, next.
Mr. Palmini, can I just ask a question quickly, please?
Sure.
So, just so that I'm clear, he's still under their finance administration as far as his payroll and the director of the, but he's not under any development administration. He's just overseeing it. So his pay is staying in the finance administration, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
We anticipate Ms. Diop to come back late December, early January.
Okay.
To take over her duties.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, I believe that's it for Mr. Ferrari and his staff. So we will move now to utilities, which is page 14.
Johnny C., you out there?
I am out there.
Oh, you look like you're in the mountains over there.
And when available, if I could share my screen, I'd appreciate it.
Yep, just a minute. I will make you the presenter.
Thank you.
In the meantime, Utilities Administration, is that what you're going to start with, John?
Yes, correct.
He's reduced the budget by 4.1%.
All right, so thank you for the opportunity to share our budget and some of the work we do. A number of slides to show, but I'm going to try to run through them as quickly as possible. Feel free to stop me at any point, and I'm going to provide you the slides after. And you know, once you go through them, if you have any questions, again, feel free to ask. Just got it. All right. So I'm going to go through all my divisions and kind of the same way. This is the budget as it appears today. There's no major changes to the utilities administration budget, aside from reduction in expenses of about $8,000, mostly through the travel and conferences. This is where we are to date. With what's requisitions available and the percentage remaining. Again, I'm going to do this for this all of the different divisions, so it's uniform. I've done this for the past couple of years, and it really allows it to pop where you see the larger differences. So some small reductions in overtime, out of grade pay. Nothing else that stands out. Travel and conferences went to 0. Repairs dropped a little, but nothing major here. Actually, any questions on administration?
I do have a question.
Okay.
Okay, so am I to understand that in terms of your staff, if there's there are just 2 of you?
In administration, correct.
Okay, but there's other staff members in other areas that we'll be talking about.
Yep, we're going to see them all.
Okay, so I want to ask you the same question that I asked Mr. Ferrari, since you guys are, you are taking care of major parts of our city. What if something happened and you weren't able to work for a extended period of time, what would the impact be? What's that game plan look like?
Well, most of our staff know their duties and are able to, carry on for the most part. I mean, certainly there's the office piece of that will take a hit. But all the staff, like I said, all the staff that we have, they have their daily duties and they take care of them. I mean, ultimately, you're going to have to replace me.
Then I'll follow up with that question. To that question, is there someone training now to replace you?
There is not, and I'm not sure this is the year that you want to try to add that to the budget.
I didn't mean add. I meant in positions that currently exist.
Well, there's certainly different people in our department that have skill sets that could potentially, take on at least some of these duties that I do. Yes, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on administration?
Nope. Next.
Okay. Going to go to Central Communications, A1650. While this request that you're looking at is $9,000 higher than the 2020 adopted budget, since we put this together, we've recently made some modifications to some of our telephone circuits, and we can safely reduce this number by $5,000 down to $79,000 for 2021 without any compromise in services. This is where we are to date. This is also all of the telephone services, internet services, for the general budget. And this chart, I actually go back to 2010 because it's easy enough to do, and you can see what the difference was back in 2010 up to 2021. And again, that 84,000 for 2021 would drop to 79,000. Okay. Any questions on that?
Nope, we're good. Thank you.
Okay. Central data processing. So we had a question submitted by the council on this, and I've built in some of the answers to that question within this presentation. So I'll ask you to be patient with me. The question, so that you're aware of it, was, can this work be contracted out to a firm to save the city money? So I'll do my best to try to respond to it. There are two areas where aside from personnel, there's two areas where costs have increased in our overall central data processing budget. The first one you're going to see is 1680 for 200. That's the equipment line that we don't always use, but this year we're asking for $50,000 to replace our Nimble storage device. It's end of life and no longer will be serviceable. This is the device that stores and compresses all of our data that we use every day. So we need, it's one of the most important pieces of equipment that we have. And again, it's end of life, so we're unable to get support on it, and parts will no longer be available. The second area of increase is the fees for services, the 1680,404. The increase of about, I think it's $69,000. It's mostly due to the Municity 5 code enforcement software maintenance. We're paying that for the first time, as you should be aware. There was a Department of State grant, two of them actually, that helped fund the installation of it in the first year of maintenance. And we're going into that the second year, so we'll need to pay the yearly maintenance fee for it. There's also WebEx software that we've added that we're all using. Some are happy with it, some are not. We're going to try to iron out all the problems with that. This is the status of it, of the budget lines right now. And these are the 6 codes that are within that budget line, and you see again the 404 fees for services increases. We dropped our phone expense just a little and dropped some in-service training. So to try to answer that question a little more, it would be really difficult for me to provide a cost of hiring an outside firm to perform all of our IT work. I'm not really aware of any municipalities our size that do it. We have interaction with our users and our equipment every day, all day. Our information technology department maintains equipment and software for all city departments. There's over 60 different software programs, and they all require continued role-based access control, adjustments, updating, interaction with vendors for modifications. We have a number of physical and virtual servers, and we also maintain the disaster recovery servers. There's over 400 active domain accounts, a total of about 500 email accounts that we maintain, over 200 computers, laptops, over 100 printers, tablets, over 400 desktop phones and cell phone lines. These are things that we deal with every single day. So it would be really difficult to try to get people that are familiar with all of this equipment. Our door locks, we have over 100 door locks, and as it is now, we triage as best we can and try to change the locks when they're bad or do software changes to minimize the need that we have for bringing outside consultants in. Then on our smart network, we have about 60 network switches. I mentioned numerous times we have over 100 wireless access points, analytic nodes, and cameras that are going out there. So there's security risks also to having outside companies in on our servers and equipment. And again, we need numerous vendors since there's so many different platforms. There's no way someone would be trained in all of these different packages. And of course, there's HIPAA concerns with police and fire departments, as well as state and federal security requirements that we have to maintain. So real quick, and I'm going to go through these fast. These are just some of the software packages that we're using by all different departments. Some you'll understand and know and seen before, and some that you probably haven't. But there's actually, I think, 3 or 4 pages of different types of software that we're using. Tyler Technology, this is one of our main Munis program suite that many of our users work on a daily basis. We're continually making sure that access is appropriate for each user, and we have to maintain audits of change that we make. That's extremely important to make sure that people have the proper access and not too much and not too little. And then Municity 5, we've just recently added, and again, many of our departments are using the permits and violations as well as providing information on properties for our first responders. Our vacant property information is being located all in one place now so that we can perform an analysis and understand and track all the information needed to help reduce and mitigate blight in our city. So those are things that we're dealing with, our staff are dealing with every day. I think I wanted to look at other cities in New York to try to answer the question with similar populations to understand what their budgets are for information technologies. So I looked at 6 city budgets to compare where we stand, and these are either similar in population or close to us geographically. So, you know, looking at these 6 other cities, most of them are close size, except for Albany, which is a little higher, but we always look at our neighbors to see what they're doing. These are what their IT budgets are, either proposed or adopted the latest. So we are very much on the low end of staffing and salaries for our information technology. These are numbers strictly for in-house information technology personnel. They do not look at software fees or maintenance. Those are a second piece of it. So this is, again, just for comparison to what other communities are doing. I honestly don't have a better way of trying to figure out what it would cost us to have multiple vendors, as I see it, come in based on the different software packages that we have. So I'm not sure if that answers your question or if you want me to try to dig deeper, but it's really a difficult question to answer.
Let me If
Anything further on
something,
that?
try to get somebody in within the hour, half hour. Even when we had that flood here in City Hall in Schenectady, our IT guys were able to get our computers up and powered by one of the street lamps right out front of City Hall. And we never missed any beat, not with payroll, not with accounts payable or anything.
Yeah, and I didn't thank you, Anthony. I really didn't go that deep into it because of the differences I'm showing you. But yeah, I mean, that's a major fact.
Yeah.
We have police officers, firemen come to our door at City Hall for repairs that they want to get right back out on the street and have their printers fixed and, you know, be out of there in a half hour. We have users that are sitting at their desk if their computer's not working or they have a software issue, that someone has to physically go there to make these repairs. And we do it quick, agile, and cheaper than hiring somebody to come in, which many times you have to make appointments with them. You know, they'll be there tomorrow or you know, the day after. I'm not sure that you know, that's something that we would easily be able to deal with.
I don't hear anything further, so please continue.
Okay, thank you. So A3310 sign maintenance, sign maintenance proposed budget calls for the elimination of one full-time painter and actually a second painter eliminated after the retirement sometime in the second half of the year. These painters are responsible for painting center lines, lane lines, crosswalks, but they're also more. They're graphic designers working to fabricate 90% of our signs in-house. We make our own street name signs, parking and regulatory signs, and we silk screen all of our temporary no parking signs and special signs that you see out in the street, like the new kiosk signs that we recently installed throughout our downtown. One remaining painter will not be able to perform any of the street marking work out on the street by himself. Yeah, he'd be able to make some of the signs in-house, but the value of it at that point is almost gone. There's also a allotment of $100,000 in the 2021 budget for unused vacation and sick time with 2 scheduled retirements. Also, and I happen to quickly notice that on Councilman Palomini's notes, there is a number transposed on the A3310 overtime line. It's showing a $6,000 request, which is the same as last year. So those numbers, and I did talk to Anthony about that, need to be dropped down. It's the exact same amount that we're asking. We're not asking for $75,000. That drops down to the sick leave, and $6,000 needs to go in there for the overtime request.
Sorry, John.
It's okay. So this is our budget as it is. And certainly you can look at the numbers. Again, the A3310 support staff salaries, that's where the painter is. And that's going to be an extremely painful loss for our department and for the city without a way to you know, paint our lines out on the street, do our crosswalks, make our signs in-house. Otherwise, I think we're pretty steady there. We dropped our phone expense. You can see just a little, but otherwise, nothing special to show you here.
Okay.
I do have a question about the painters.
Okay.
So it says currently you have 3
Currently, we have 3 positions, yes.
positions. And then it says the request is 1.6.
Yeah, that's what I said to you. This drops 1.5 painters off. The 0.6 is because the potential retirement is a little later in the year, more than a half. But yeah, this drops us down by the end of 2021, according to this budget, proposed budget as it is, we will have 1 painter.
Oh, okay. And what you're also saying to us is that that's going to affect your department greatly by dropping down to 1 painter.
Well, I'm saying to you that we will not be able to paint the streets with 1 painter. It's just not safe.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Keep going.
Keep going, I'm going. Traffic, 83311. The most major change is the elimination of an unfilled line worker position. Many of you know that we've been unable to fill that position for a number of years. I do ask, so we did take it out this year. I do ask that if things change and we get some revenues back, that potentially look to reinstate that at some time. So I would like to, again, come back to you at some point and ask you to consider putting that back in the budget when times are better.
John, the mayor has mentioned that, you know, if this budget's passed the way it is, if there is a change with the federal stimulus or anything like that, we're going to request the changes to the budget.
Understood. Thank you. So this is the status of our traffic budget as it is. And again, I'm going to send this to you so you don't have to look at it too closely now. Dropped our overtime a little. The salaries, the 100 line you see is down because of that loss of the line worker. Nothing else that's substantial here. Yeah, about not too much. Any questions on the traffic?
We're good, thank you.
Moving on. Light, power, and gas. So this was another question that was that I'll try to answer too. Was how will these large decreases in street lighting impact resident safety, or are smart city technologies taking the place of the expenses? So the decrease in the administrative expense account for 2021 is due to the elimination of the proposed shot spotter service in next year. So that was something that we took out of the budget because we felt that at this time it was not something that we could afford to pay for. The expected savings from the LED conversions have not completely kicked in yet, but are expected to do so in 2021. We have half the city converted to LED right now and expect to have the rest of the city converted in 2021. The net impact to resident safety is actually an increase based on the improved reliability of the LED equipment and the network installed as part of the National Grid REV demonstration project. Again, this is the status of, excuse me, the 2020 dollars, where we are right now. And these are the three codes within that 5182 and shows the drop in administrative expense, but nothing more there. Any questions on light, power, and gas?
I just, if you could just tell me exactly where the shot spotter was in the budget.
Shot spotter was in the administrative expenses 402.
402. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Coluccio, or Mr. Palmani?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Mr. Coluccio, you said that it's anticipated that we're going to have the entire city transformed over with the LED lighting by the end of 2021?
Correct.
So, so with COVID, were we delayed? Because I thought we were going pretty quick for a while there.
Yeah, we were going pretty quick for a while, and then COVID did a terrible dance on us and delayed us a lot. National Grid right now is under contract negotiations with, I'm not sure I can say the name right now, but with a contractor for the second half of the city. And they expect that to be completed by, I think they were looking maybe November 1st or so. And then the plan is to start rolling out in the spring and have it completed by the end of the year.
Were they unable to work when when everything was shut down? Is that my understanding?
Correct.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right,
we're good.
Moving on. This is our two capital project requests that we have for 2021. Both of them are actually the same request that we've submitted in 2020. One is for the smart cities, $2 million, and the second one is for a aerial lift. Let's see. So the first request is for $2 million to complete both Zone A and B of the smart city deployment. And these next two slides will show the neighborhoods in the city that the deployment would cover, as well as the equipment devices planned for these areas. So this page that I have up right now shows what Zone A, and the cost to complete Zone A is just about $2.9 million. This slide shows Zone B, as well as a breakdown of the dollars of where we stand right now and why we're looking for that $2 million. Zone B is about 2.5 million and covers areas like parts of Hamilton Hill, Mount Pleasant, a greater area in Central State Street, the GE Plot, Union Triangle. So as I've mentioned before, we have over 100 wireless access points installed in different areas of the city. Downtown, Hamilton Hill, Central State Street. We have a few in Mount Pleasant and some others scattered throughout the city. We've made tremendous progress and want to keep our momentum going, as it's a service that's pretty well received by our residents, especially during the pandemic. They're able to use internet access. And this chart that you see on the top is showing that we average between 700,000 and 1 million web pages hits a day on the Smart City Network. So they're definitely using it, and you know, we want to try to expand that so everybody has access to the internet. Our school kids, you know, we've been working with the school district to try to, you know, understand their needs. And so we want to try to expand this as much as possible. This is a breakdown. I think you've seen this before. The question was, you know, what are we actually getting for our money? And this chart shows some of the physical equipment that we're getting, as well as the services that we would be paying for. Again, there's a total of $5.4 million for those two zones, and we're looking for the $2 million to complete those zones. So I'll stop there for a second before I go to the second item and ask if you have any questions.
Are there any questions?
Yes, I do have a question.
Okay.
So, Mr. Coluccio, you said that we need 5.4 million.
So let me go back to this chart. So that's kind of a breakdown of,
okay.
Yeah, so we need the 5.4 million for the Zone A and B. We have dollars already, so that's why, you know, we're not asking for the 5.4 million right now. We only need 2 million to have enough to do both of those zones.
Okay, because I got something from our finance department in September that says that we currently had 2.6 million left in our at that time. That was in September.
Okay, and this may be a little dated, you know, give or take a couple of weeks. So it might be 2.8 instead of 2.6 instead of the 2.8 at the time. We've spent some money, which, you know, that we still have to try to, you know, go a little further with our deployment. But ultimately, the $2 million is what's needed to complete both of those zones.
John, how we have to complete it to get to $1 million. So we have 2.6. We're asking for 2 million to get 4.6, but that'll get, as we complete it, we'll get to $1 million from the SAM grant. Is that true, John?
Well, it's relatively true. There's part of the deployment of that we need to do is reliant on the SAM grant as well. So we have been expanding our network into that area in order to tie in the Mount Pleasant area. If we don't have the funding to tie that area in, then that grant is somewhat null because there'll be nothing to use that dollars for.
Right.
Okay, so does that mean that the grant is specific for Mount Pleasant? And so if we cannot do the work that we need to do in Mount Pleasant, then that grant does not happen. Is that what I'm understanding?
It makes sense the way you said it. Yes, if we don't lay the groundwork to be able to connect the devices that are going in those areas, then we can't show that we're really doing the work. So yes.
Lucio? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Porter. Sorry.
Patrick, go ahead.
I'll go ahead. I have more, but go ahead. You gave it to you.
Go ahead. Okay. I just wanted to ask, so obviously this is really important, especially given what's happening right now because of COVID and the libraries being down and, the schools, and obviously, especially in, it seems, Zone B, this is going to really be helpful in terms of our families that need this access in order to do their schoolwork and other types of things. So the question is, by when will this project be completed, since it seems to me to be, an immediate need and am I off base? Is that wrong?
So one of the problems is that the dollars weren't approved in the 2020 capital. So we've been holding out to try to see if we were going to get the dollars. And the reason being is if it's relevant to whether we do Zone A alone or Zone A and B. So if we do the zones together, then obviously we're going to get much better pricing for contractors to come in to do the work. So we've been, trying to figure out, when we would pull the trigger on something like that, hoping to get the dollars to do the whole thing.
Okay, I guess, so, okay. Thank you.
And I do, Mr. Palomini, I do have a follow-up question. So based on what you said, Mr. Coluccio, so the reason we didn't move ahead with the dollars that we had, I'm going to put it in plain English, the dollars that we had in the bank, the reason we didn't spend them is because we're holding on to them, hoping we'd be able to add to that bank account in order to do more, as opposed to doing this piece and then doing that piece, because it might show us a savings. Is that what, am I understanding that correctly? That's why we held off, we haven't done anything?
I mean, this is bonding, so it's different money than general fund.
But is that the case? Is that why we're waiting? Is that why, in other words, there was some funding in place, but you didn't want to use it because you wanted to save it to see if we got all of the funding that you asked for in order to move ahead with the project?
Well, that's not totally true. We have been using some of it, just as a slower rate, but the bulk of it would be held back to see if we could do Zone A and B at the same time. Because again, I could take a guess and there may be a 20% savings by having a contractor do both of the zones together as opposed to one and then the other as separate contracts.
Okay. And in terms of the camera installation, which is part of it, I see that, let's see, one zone had 26, the other one had 54. Are these cameras that the city installs as our workers, or do we, is that something that's hired out?
I'm just going to go back to it a second. Hold on. So I think the cameras are, most of the cameras we would be installing.
All right. I guess that the reason I asked that question, well, I asked it because, and also, so we would be installing, we means?
Our staff, my staff.
Okay. And I guess that brings me back to just like, it seems like your staff is small. So I'm just trying to kind of figure out how that works and what the timing of that would be. It just, in terms of personnel, I won't call it manpower, but in terms of personnel being able to accomplish that.
Obviously, we have 2 line workers. That's what we've had. We've been installing smart equipment, those access points, those 100 access points, those were all installed by our staff. We did it when we could outside of emergencies, and we've also, we'll do the same with the cameras.
Okay. I think, and the fiber deployment, I am going line by line, yes. The fiber deployment, is that something we do? Is that where the contractors come in?
Fiber is something the contractors would do. We can do small amounts, but major amounts like this is something that you would have a contractor do.
Okay, and the 350,000 on one line, and then the other one for. Could you tell me what those professional services are?
I could give you. I could work up a detail for you, but it's in order to figure out exactly what fibers go to where they get installed, how many we need, what network switches get programmed, the routing of the switches. It's a pretty complicated thing behind the scenes to do that. They all get unboxed and get programmed. They get all the equipment gets named and added to our network. They have IP addresses that they have to be given, and profiling so that when you put a device in, that people can't get access to it. Only the people that need to have access do so.
Okay, and how does that differentiate from managed services?
Managed services are things that, like some of our other software that we have, where you get upgrades on the equipment and or maintenance on pieces of equipment. Sometimes if it's a very important equipment, you can get 4-hour replacement on it. If it's something that's not so important, you can do 48-hour replacement. So managed services are warranty type things.
Okay. And the network switching is actually to purchase the networks themselves?
Network switching is computer switches that go in traffic signal cabinets or buildings that we connect all the fiber and wires to make everything come back to the servers.
Okay. Switches are expensive.
They are.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Further?
I guess I just want to add that since I can't usually get onto the WebEx appropriately, apparently I wouldn't be someone that you'd want to hire for any position in your department, right, Mr. Coluccio?
Oh, we'll straighten you out, and John money at the same time.
5 months, John. 5 months.
I don't let them forget it, John, just for the record. Any other questions on this one? All right. Last one. This is the second capital budget request that we're submitting. It's for the replacement of a 1994 aerial lift. It's used on a daily basis for routine and emergency calls. There's over 86,000 miles on it, which doesn't seem that much today, but honestly, it must have at least 10 times as many hours running because it sits and runs all day, during repairs. The truck's been out of service for weeks at a time, has hydraulic issues, multiple electric and battery issues. Many situations requires 2 aerial devices at the same time. The lack of a dependable vehicle is just dangerous. We had an accident maybe a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, on the corner of Union and Seward. That a trailer took a corner and knocked our traffic signal pole down. We only had one vehicle to put it back up, and it was a little scary to do so. And it's not something that you can leave. It actually was dangling in traffic. So we were able to get a base and a new base and put the thing back up. But it was, I don't want to call it dangerous, but it was a difficult task to do. So we need to be able to have a vehicle available 24/7 for knockdowns. This particular truck, you can see it's leaning in the one picture. Our electricians have actually been stuck in the air at least 3 or 4 times in the last year. Once I had to go get them, they called me on the cell phone. I had to go. There's a manual control on the bottom that we had to let them down. The platform was in repairs for the lift, also dropping without touching any controls. So they're sitting there working on a traffic signal, and all of a sudden the lift starts to come down. So it's really an important vehicle. It's from 1994. I don't think many of us have cars out there from that time period right now. Although I'm sure there's a couple of them, but I ask that you really consider allowing us to order this as part of the 2021 capital budget. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we will go to the,
Thank you, John.
Yep.
We will go to employee benefits, which is page 55.
56, 57.
Oh, I was off by a page, sorry.
Employee benefits have increased by over 2%. And really, one of the biggest hits it was in the retirement system for employee benefits and the police and fire retirement. As you recall, in the first day, our plan is to amortize $1.1 million of the retirement system, and that's what. And actually, this number would have been over 10 million, but we're going to amortize the $1 million for a total retirement piece of it. Our other big hit for $600,000 was our health benefit. Really, that because it's only went up to 600,000 is only due to the amount of layoffs that we're having planning. So if we get people back, that number will probably have to rise. We were able to negotiate a deal with Humana, which is for our retired folks. We were able to save over $100,000 negotiating for that. What else? What is the big one? Those are actually the biggest ones that I could tell you.
Are there any questions? All right, very good. I think the only things remaining are the various boards. So we will go to page 7, which is Assessment Review Board.
Oh, I believe page 7. 7.
Or Board of Assessment Review, sorry.
We reduced that board by $50 for supplies. We figured that we'll use our department to give them supplies what they need. Mostly it's just pen, papers, and notebooks.
Any questions on that? Next will be the Police Review Board, page 37.
Okay, on the Police Review Board, and I got this right here. Police Review Board, we left it at $1,000. I believe that's what we had proposed last year. Let me just take a quick look. 37. Yeah, with $1,000, we kept it the same for as last year's.
And lastly, we have the Zoning Board, page 47.
Again, with the Zoning Board and the Planning Commission, we left it the same. Actually, we we took $775 from advertising. Again, we're trying to figure out what we could use. We're trying to probably use our own department monies for that.
All right, any questions? Okay, I believe that we have covered the entire budget, unless I'm missing something, so please speak up. Otherwise, Thursday, please come prepared with any suggestions or changes you might have on the budget. And that meeting will start at 5:30. And can I have a motion to recess?
John, before you go, I just want to say, when we get home tonight or tomorrow morning, we find that the House and the Senate agree on a bill to help cities and states, and makes this thing be a lot better if we have that opportunity to make a comeback here.
Okay, can I have a motion to recess?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.